Right, so Unite General Secretary Sharon Graham didn't exactly get her own way in the recent Unite Union executive elections earlier this year, as those pesky members dared vote for actual lefties who will put her on notice to make sure the notice she has put on Keir Starmer repeatedly might actually develop into something beyond rhetoric one of these days, as the union continues to give Starmer £1 million of members' dues a year. But quite honestly, if his recent watering down of workers' rights, something Unite did stand against, doesn't prompt a withdrawal of funds from Union to party, the literal reason both the trade union and labour movements exist to stand up for, then nothing will. This really is Graham's last chance to show some credibility in her leadership, in my opinion. Refusing to sign off on these plans at the National Policy Forum is one thing. Putting union money where your mouth is quite another, and if she won't do it here on this, then she never will. And any talk of putting him on notice going forward should be met with significant jeering and booing or all other associated noises, given it will be an utterly meaningless statement you make from this point onwards, and we would know that. However, unfair and undemocratic, however unyielding Starmer has been on this policy thus far, it's not like Graham hasn't been acting in a none too dissimilar fashion herself behind the union's closed doors and the shenanigans that have been allegedly going on for her to get her own way there, in light of losing those internal elections to wrestle power from the executive. So what to do if your executive won't play ball with you? Set up another one. Literally, that's the allegation right now, and it's not without evidence either. And laughably, it's being called a new left for Unite. Yes, a new left that is, well, Graham's version of left and not the actual left. I suppose it would be a new left, but by being less left. The not so left, the middling left, the left that left, the left. I can't follow this all day, couldn't I? But let's get to the point instead. Sharon Graham failed to get a majority of her faction on the Unite executive, and that was despite union money being blown on advertising to favour her candidates, at least one candidate who was ineligible to stand getting selected and ironically elected afterwards in one instance of success for Graham, bending the rules or breaking them, however you want to look at it. And even more ironically, it is that now elected executive member who has revealed what has been going on now. Suzanne Muna, she's called, ineligible to stand, as she was, under Unite's rules, because Unite were not recognised union in her workplace, and to stand for the executive, members must be a workplace rep or branch role holder, and she was neither. So nonetheless, she was still allowed to stand and got elected. If you're a Graham supporter, this is allowed, it would seem. Very similar to Starmer in a lot of ways, eh? Anyway, Muna sent out an email to discuss the creation of what is being called an Assembly for a Democratic Inclusive Left in Unite. I mean, the brass neck is staggering. There's nothing democratic about forming an alternative to the democratically elected Unite executive. There's nothing inclusive about subverting that to keep people out, unless it's to mean in actuality people of the left who aren't really the left, who don't like democracy when it doesn't go their way, Sharon Graham Appreciation Society, are just setting up their own bit. That is, in my opinion, what all of this is. Let's form the Sharon Graham Appreciation Society and give them executive powers whilst we're at it, instead of the actual elected executive, because nothing says democracy quite like that, does it? Here's part of the email reproduced from the Squawk Box article that broke this. It's called Draft Proposal for Discussion. I've not listed all of it, it's just the main bits of it. But name is what they're going to call themselves, for example, Unite Democratic Inclusive Left, reduced to an abbreviation pronounced UDIL, I guess. Sounds like a cure for erectile dysfunction to me. Even more funny when this group is democratically ought to be completely and utterly impotent, quite frankly. Administration, elected chair, secretary, and a treasurer, as these will be needed to administer the group. Treasurer, so money's involved then. Keep bureaucracy minimal, so that sounds like what Sharon Graham says goes then, maybe, perhaps. That would be minimal bureaucracy, wouldn't it? Organisation, a national steering group, but focus on building local organisation with regional in-person meetings where possible, resources, website, email address, Twitter, Facebook, funding, a very low-level joining fee from individuals, but as branches to donate to. So union within a union, then all fully funded, it would seem. Right, anyway, the aims. What are they going to do? What do they want to do? A democratic left supporting and extending the plan for change, in brackets, Sharon Graham's manifesto. What she says goes, in other words. Supporting workers in struggle and bringing our struggles together, supporting the organisation model of trade unionism with a fighting industrial approach, fighting the anti-trade union laws, fighting to reverse the privatisation of public services, all fully funded, supporting nationalisation of key industries, including all utilities and pharmaceuticals, being prepared to take on any employer, including labour councils when necessary, being anti-racist, standing up for equality and inclusivity, being anti-war and anti-militarism, opposing greenwashing. Great. Don't disagree with an awful lot of that. Actions to take. Create a visible presence and industrial relevance through solidarity support on picket lines, so unite within unite, and demonstrations, and publicise these to increase awareness of disputes and yourselves. Agree model motions and rule changes to influence union policy and operation. Agree interventions at constitutional meetings and combines, union within a union. Agree electoral support programmes and, where relevant, slates for elections. The Sharon Graham slate, then. That'll be what we're looking forward to. I look forward to seeing you all at the meetings. All best, Suzanne Muna. Now, a lot of that we wouldn't disagree with is what the Unite Union is expected to stand for, and of course it still does, a lot of that. A Unite Union policy anyway. So why do you need another group then, if you're on the same page as the main union anyway, on a lot of these issues, unless it is to get things done the way Sharon Graham wants, and not the way that the elected executive would direct? So this automatically just smacks of a power grab in the offing, when frankly there are far more important issues than, in my opinion, what Sharon Graham wants from one moment to the next herself. What uniting Graham and her hangers-on should be focused on is ensuring Starmer is held to account, given that he's probably heading to form the next government, and union funding is more than just under review in order to do that, as he incessantly creeps to big business like the Tory he is, rather than standing up for workers as this week he blatantly showed he's not prepared to do. Instead, shenanigans like this are going on within Unite that seem to show Graham and her ilk are taking lessons out of Starmer's little book of how to be a control freak, whilst ostensibly still paying lip service to the Unite membership by saying they stand for the workers' rights still, despite still showing little sign of meaningfully challenging the Labour leader over this very issue. Stop the cash. Make him listen. Sadly, this isn't going anywhere in that anti-democratic email and this plotting, subsequent plotting that we'll have to keep an eye on to see if it all pans out. Unite members who voted in and elected the current executive should be appalled at this, frankly. I know I certainly am. But then, nothing that Sharon Graham does these days surprises me much anymore. Thanks for watching. I hope you found the video useful. Please like, share and subscribe. If you did more content out daily, please leave a comment and have your say be part of the conversation. Meanwhile, here's a video recommendation where Sharon Graham's last power grab, that attempt at those internal elections that she didn't get her way in, she failed at, what she tried on at that point, what she failed at, have a look at that, and I'll hopefully catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.